The wind revved again mid-morning and the fires got their second breath. After a frightening night, Menai was once more in the path of the flames. RFS officers moved from home to home, warning residents of the new onslaught, while community fire crews pushed into the bush that backs onto dozens of homes, their gear uncoiled down fire trails that were to prove a precious buffer zone. The wind has flared again here in Menai and that fire is racing right up towards these properties. So already weary homeowners and firefighters are back on the hoses trying to save those homes. In the air, water bombers armed with infrared detectors to pinpoint their targets tried to get to the heart of the blaze. After 1,000 hectares were blackened overnight, today's most vulnerable suburbs emerged. Menai, neighbouring Bangor, Alford's Point, Barton Ridge, Illawong, all bombarded by embers, as well as Casula.
It is approximately 450 metres from the rear of properties in Laurel Place and Melaleuca Place, Illawong.
Sydney was like a city cut in two by smoke, a giant wall of brown on the southern horizon. Inside that cloud, people, masked, eyes stinging, smothered in the haze. Pretty freaked out. At Casula, they'd survived the night, hosing down their houses before facing the renewed threat.
But that was just glowing. We were worried that it was going to come up above the ridge. It didn't, thank goodness, but this morning we woke up to this. It's just horrible.
Their fears were justified. The garden streets were transformed into the frontier for the firefighters.
Yeah, well, they're right on the front here, and with the winds as strong as they are, it is sort of dangerous if it does come up here.
It took courage for homeowners to stand their ground.
This hose ain't going to do much. The least we can do is just try and stop embers, I think.
The silent victims of a big bushfire are usually the wildlife, but at least this fellow found refuge in a friendly street.
He's pretty safe up there, which is really good.
A day of flames, smoke and danger within the fire zone, but one thought everybody has in common.
The fireys have been fantastic.
Kelly is in Menai this evening. Kelly, where do things stand as we join you tonight?
Well, Pete, this area of blackened bush here in Menai is a very frightening illustration of just how close these flames came to dozens of properties in this suburb. It came right up to this busy thoroughfare, elsewhere licking back fences. Residents are wandering around here marvelling at just how lucky they are. Some are also still on alert, carrying hoses and buckets, with several spot fires burning in this suburb and surrounds. But in some good news, Pete, conditions have eased and the threat level has dropped from an emergency warning to a watch and act.
OK, Kelly, thank you. Fire crews are focusing their efforts on two fronts this evening. I want to go live to Nine's Gabrielle Boyle at Barton Ridge. Gabby, how close is the blaze to homes there?
Yeah, good evening, Pete. Well, the blaze here came within about 1 kilometre of homes, but it wasn't just the fire front itself that had authorities worried. Of course, it was those embers as well. And with those very strong winds, they were being picked up and carried and dumped on homes and properties here. And that is the reason that fire crews remain on the scene tonight. Some good news, though, Pete. The winds really have backed off in the last hour or so.
As firefighters battle the head of the blaze, detectives are scouring its path, investigating whether arsonists are to blame. Live to 9 reporter Michelle Tavaniti at Alford's Point tonight. Michelle, what's the latest with the police investigation?
Pete, the investigation is ongoing, so is the hard work here at Alford's Point. Take a look at these flames down this valley here. That was the concern here on Royal Oak Drive for firefighters today. They've been poised here in case those flames come up towards the street and they would have to protect homes. Of course, that threat has been reduced with this fire, downgraded to watch and act. As for the investigation, the cause is unknown. There are thought to be a couple of ignition points, though. Fire investigators looking at Glenfield to the east of Holsworthy Army Barracks, and detectives were out door knocking at Casula today, asking people if they'd seen anything suspicious near All Saints Catholic College. The fear is that this fire was deliberately lit, and the Premier touched on that today while speaking to the media.
Of course, there'll be a full investigation, and I think the community would deem it absolutely unforgivable if this fire was deliberately lit.
Pete, the focus tonight is getting this fire under control, and of course crews will be taking advantage of the fact that winds have died down.